Hello, my amazing first grade artist. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this Robin Mead inspired landscape. A landscape is a picture of something that is outside. Like in this one, you see the sun and the ocean. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the materials you're going to need and the artist that we're looking at, and then we'll get right to making our piece of artwork. So first of all, the materials. The students in class are going to be using watercolor, so they're going to have a piece of watercolor paper that their teacher will give them. If you're at home and you don't have watercolor paper, just use whatever kind of paper you have. And then you'll need a black crayon. And the students at school are going to be using a white oil pastel, but if you're home and you don't have a white oil pastel, you can use a white crayon. And we've got liquid watercolors here. If you don't have liquid watercolors at home, that's okay. You can just color your landscape with whatever you like. You could use markers or crayons, or you could use, I've shown in some of my past videos how to do markers with water and make them look like watercolors. And then if you are painting, you'll need a paintbrush and water and a paper towel. So the artist that we're looking at today is Robin Mead. Let me show you a piece of Robin Mead's artwork. She is a contemporary artist. That means she is still alive and she's still making these beautiful paintings. And this one you can see is a landscape, the sun and the ocean, and you see some of the land. Robin Mead is from America, so she's from the same country as we are. And she likes to use watercolor like we're going to use today. She does digital art. That can be made on your iPad or a computer. And mixed media, that's where she uses many different supplies and she combines them into one piece of artwork. She likes to paint landscapes, flowers, and birds, and she often uses bright colors and these thick, black, bold lines that you see all over her paper. She started out working as a social worker. That's someone who helps people who are in need. And then she started spending more and more time doing art, and she really liked it. It made her happy, and so she decided that she would become an artist. And when I look at her artwork, it makes me very happy too. I like her bright colors. So back to this one. This is the one that we're going to be making. So we're going to start out. I'm going to show you how to draw your landscape. So let me move my finished one out of the way, and I'm going to get my piece of white paper here. And we're going to draw our landscape. I'm going to start, I'm just going to use my black crayon to start. If you would rather use a pencil in case you make a mistake, you can do that, or you can start right with your black crayon. But we are going to be making a watercolor resist if you're at school. So a watercolor resist is like this. Crayons are made out of wax. Oil pastels are made out of an oily, waxy substance. And when you put something with water with that, it resists it, or it means it pushes it away. So you'll be able to, when you put your watercolor over this black or the white, you'll be able to still see the black or white. It won't mix with it. It won't blend. It will resist it. It will push, the watercolor will push away from it. So we're going to start by drawing our landscape. I'm going to start by making my lines at the bottom. So I'm going to find the center of my paper, which is right about here, and I'm going to come down just a little bit. And I'm going to make some lines. I'm going to show you some different kinds of lines, okay? Let's look at this real quick. These are zigzag lines. I want you to think about different kinds of lines. This is an element of art. We've got curvy lines. We've got wavy lines. Remember, we're making the ocean. We've got these kind of wavy lines. They're a little more complicated, but they're beautiful. And then I made another zigzag line where I made some of the zigs and zags big and some of them small. So I mixed it up a little bit. Be thinking about all those different kinds of lines. We're using lots of lines in our artwork today. So like I said, we're going to find the middle and come down a little bit, and we're going to use our black crayon, and we are going to, I'm going to make a zigzag line, but remember, you can make whatever kind of line you like. Your artwork doesn't have to look like mine. I don't want it to look just like mine because it's yours and it's special. So I'm going to make a zigzag line with my black crayon. Okay, and then I'm probably at the end, I think we'll probably just wait to the end, but you'll need to go back over it and color it and make it really thick and dark, okay? So then I'm going to make another one. I'm going to make 3 lines. I'm going to come down a little bit, and I'm thinking about all those lines I just showed you. So this time I'm going to make a curvy line that goes all the way. It's a curvy horizontal line. Horizontal lines go across. And then I'm going to make one more. I think I'll make a wavy line. Okay, now you'll need to go back in and really color over those and make them good and dark and bold. Bold is a good, thick, dark black line, because when we start adding that watercolor, we really want our black to stand out. Remember, the word I used was resist. The watercolors will resist this crayon. They'll push away from it. So I'm just going back over it and making a thick, bold black line. You can make it as thick as you want. See, I'm just kind of coloring it in and making it dark. Now, sometimes when you start coloring like this, I'm pressing down very hard so it will be good and dark and thick. You'll have little pieces of your crayon come off. You can just pick your paper up and kind of shake it off like that, or blow it off, and all those little extra crayon pieces will come off, okay? Now let's do the top part. So we're going to make a sun. We've been making lines. This time, oh, I got a little crayon up there. This time we're going to make a shape. A shape that we're going to make is a circle. So we're going to start at the top. We're making a big sun. So we're just going to make a big circle at the top of our page, like that. And then we want it to have some variety. We don't want it to just be all one color. So we're going to make another circle inside of it. These are called concentric circles, when you have one inside the other and they get smaller. And then one more. 3 circles. And again, I'm going to go back with my black crayon. You do the same thing. Let's color it in and make it dark. And you're going to see, because you've got to press down hard for this, okay? You're going to see, like I said, where some of those little crayon pieces are coming off. And you'll just need to kind of knock that or blow that off of your paper, because sometimes they'll kind of get mixed in with your paper and they'll make marks all over your paper. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. Kind of very gently do that. Knock them off, okay? Now the last part is we're going to make some straight lines radiating out of our sun. So let's start at the very top, and I'm just going to go ahead and make that dark and bold when I do it. So I'm going to make one there. And you decide how far apart. Don't make them too close. If you make them too close, you won't have room in between the lines, and I'm going to show you something we can do in between the lines. So just come around. You could maybe put 3 or 4 fingers down, and that would help you know how far apart you need to space it. I'm going ahead and coloring these in dark as I go. I'm using my fingers to let me know how far apart to space it. Pressing down really hard. I'm going to put one more here. Those are the rays of our sun. Okay. Just making sure if there's any places you feel like you need to go back over and make really bold, you can do that now. Okay. All right. Again, I've got a lot of little, you can't see them in the video, but I've got a lot of little crayon pieces. And some of them will stay. That's okay. All right. But I'm going to get most of them off if I can, real gently. All right. Next, we're going to take our white oil pastel or crayon, and we're going to make some different designs in here, some different patterns. You really won't be able to see them right now because this is white and your paper is white, but you'll just do the best you can. And in a minute, when we add that watercolor, it's going to be like magic. So I'm going to start inside my first little circle in my sun, and I'm just going to make a little dot. You can kind of see it. You probably can't see it on my video, but if you're doing it, you'll be able to see it. I made just a little circle. I didn't color the whole thing in, just a little in the center. And then in this circle, I'm going to make another circle. So I'm just drawing a circle. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. When we start adding our watercolor, it's going to be like magic. You're going to see. It's going to be real fun. And then in the center of every one of our rays of our sun, I'm going to make a straight line that just comes out. Try to not touch your white oil pastel into your black crayon because it might mix in with it. I'm just making some little straight lines that come out. See how I'm not touching my black crayon though. And I kind of go back over it, make it good and thick. You can't see it, but you kind of see what I'm doing. Now in each of these shapes, we made shapes when we created our lines. We have these sections that are shapes. We're going to put some pattern. So patterns are just shapes that repeat over and over again. So you decide, you can put whatever patterns you want. You can make stripes, you can make dots, you can make circles, you can make more zigzags. You decide what you want. I'm going to put circles. I'm just drawing some small circles inside this section, inside this shape. Remember, yours doesn't need to look like mine. I want yours to be different and individual. So you do yours however you want. All right, I've got another section here. I'm going to make some more wavy lines. And then down here in the last one, I'm going to make some up and down. That's vertical. Vertical means up and down. Stripes. Okay, so get yours all how you want. If you have any of those little pieces, you can just kind of knock that off as best you can. And now we're going to use our watercolor. So I'm going to move my crayons away. All right, so I've got my watercolors. Your teacher will have those divided into little containers for you. I've got my paper towel and I've got my brush. So you need a soft brush when you use watercolors. It will take the color much better. I'm going to start in the top. Let me show you mine. I'm going to start in the top part, and we're just going to use warm colors up here. The sun is warm, and then we're going to use cool colors here. And you've talked about warm and cool colors in your class, but remember, warm colors are colors that remind us of things that are hot or warm, like fire, like the sun. So there's, you can have reds and yellows and oranges and pinks. And then the water is cool, so we're going to use our cool colors. Cool colors are blues and greens and violets. Violet is like purple. All right, so I'm starting, remember, with my warm color. Decide whatever color you want in the very center of your sun. I'm going to use yellow, and I'm going to just dip my paintbrush in the yellow. And then so you don't have too much and it's just dripping off, just kind of drag your brush on the side and then bring it over and paint that in. And oh, look what happens. It may be a little hard to see, but when you're doing it, you can. Where I use that white oil pastel, it's still white. The watercolor is resisting. So now every time you change a color, you have to wash your brush. You make it dance on the bottom. So push it down on the bottom and kind of scrub it off. Then when you come up, you drag it along the sides, and then you dry it off with your paper towel, because you don't want to have too much water to mix with these, because it'll make your colors not so vibrant. And now I'm going to use some orange. So I'm going to dip it in there. I'm going to drag it on the side. And then I'm going to go here. And again, it's resisting that oil pastel. I'm going to wash it. Wipe it off. And then I'm going to do some red. Do you see how my white line's coming through? And it's also my black line. It's resisting that. It's almost like magic. Isn't that fun? Look at that. Look at that pretty red. That's a pretty warm color. All right, so you'll just finish out your rays of the sun. Remember, you're using warm colors. And then when you get to the bottom, where your waves are, your ocean, you're going to use your cool colors. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go ahead with a blue. Drag it, and then watch what happens. Look at my pattern coming out. Isn't that pretty? If your brush starts getting where there's not much paint on it, you dip it again. If you're using the same color, you don't have to wash it. Dip it again and get some more. Oh, look at that pretty blue. Doesn't that make you think of the ocean and wanting to go swimming in the summertime? Nope, look, my brush is getting scratchy. I need a little more watercolor. There we go. All right, and then I'll put that back, and then you would change colors. You would use another cool color, and remember to wash your brush, dry your brush before each color. So you'll just finish it out. I'll show you my finished piece. Your teacher will put them somewhere and let them dry. And I think they're going to be beautiful Robin Mead landscapes. When you're finished, I want you to turn your paper over and I want you to write a story about your landscape. Okay? So you tell about it. Just make up a fun, imaginative story about it. I cannot wait to see what you do. I know you're going to do awesome. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.